Mimori Touka has always been a timid and ignored individual. But as a child, his father used to beat him up, while his mother would do absolutely nothing to help, and as a result, he has grown up to be someone completely invisible. Currently, Touka is sitting in a bus full of his classmates and has to witness the class bully, Oyamada, teasing the class president, Ayaka. Oyamada makes fun of Ayaka's romance novels and dangles it over her head while everyone just minds their business in fear of attracting the bully's attention. Touka initially doesn't feel obligated to help out as he knows he is not strong enough to take on Oyamada, but upon remembering his tough childhood, he takes the initiative and tells Oyamada to back down. The bully is shocked at Touka's audacity and starts to mock him as well. But then, Kirihara, the most popular and cool-headed guy in the entire class, tells Oyamada to stop his antics. His words seem to hold weight, and the other students clearly respect him because Oyamada sits down, but he still doesn't stop there. He then starts to annoy Yasu, the quiet kid who is also always bullied, and only stops when the teacher threatens to throw him off the bus. As Touka thinks of how it was unlike him to stand up for somebody else, he also reveals how much he despises most of his classmates. Most of them do not care about what happens to the less popular kids, and even the class teacher accompanying them on the bus doesn't care about what the students are doing, and really, all he wants to do is enjoy his school life in peace. But this would not be an entertaining anime if that happened, and therefore, a mysterious light appears in the bus, and Touka with the entire class are all teleported somewhere else. The students are confused, with some of them thinking they are in a dream, while others say it must be April Fools. But a mysterious woman appears and reminds them they are in July while introducing herself as the goddess Vicious. While standing in the middle of a medieval-looking hallway with spears, knights, and candles, the goddess welcomes all of the students and informs them that she summoned them to her world for a grand purpose. She explains that the demon emperor once caused great devastation to the kingdom 200 years ago, but it was eventually defeated. Now the demon emperor has returned once more, and she needs the strength of the students to help bring him down. Because the students have never heard of isekai, they are still confused and scared while once again trying to convince themselves that they are either in a dream or being pranked. The teacher then interrupts their side conversations and advises that they listen to the goddess's instructions. But it seems the teacher himself is not a good listener, as he is caught in 4K staring at the goddess's melons. As Touka is analyzing their surroundings, he starts to think that they are in the same room as solo leveling, and his fear only increases once Kirihara asks the goddess what would be the consequences if the students refuse to help her out, to which she gives a pretty devious response. She tells them they will die in the room as she cannot send them back home, and the only way for her to gain the ability to send everyone home is by them either obtaining the heart of the demon emperor or absorbing the element from the demon emperor's necklace as he dies. Oyamada, the bully, has had enough of this foolishness and tells the goddess that he couldn't care less about the demon emperor or the kingdom, and seeing his reaction, the goddess has no choice but to kneel before the students and beg for their help. This prompts Ayaka to step forward as well and asks how exactly are mere humans meant to help defeat a demon. But it seems like the goddess came prepared, and she demonstrates the reality of the situation by first killing a giant demonic wolf right in front of the students after it devours what seemed to be a human prisoner. The students had mixed reactions to what they saw, with some of them screaming in fear and others being too stiff to even move. But one thing for sure, it confirmed that they are indeed in another world where demon emperors, goddesses, and magic exist. The students are gathered in front of an orb, and one by one they place their hand towards it, and the orb lights up. Each student is given a rank, with the highest being an S rank. Oyamada, the bully, ends up being an A rank, and he acts very arrogantly. But that only lasted for a short amount of time, as Kirihara and Ayaka both turn out to be S ranks. This greatly impresses the goddess, as it is rare to have multiple S ranks in one summoning. But next up is Touka, and when our MC steps up, he realizes that his light is not as bright as the other ones, and this causes the goddess to completely ignore him. Even in this world, our boy is destined to be a nobody, a complete background character. Touka then watches on as Yasu, the guy who was bullied all the time, turns out to have a unique dark energy, which the goddess claims to be the strongest out of everybody, and this makes the once shy boy starts to smile creepily as he thinks his time to shine has finally arrived. The goddess then instructs everyone to check their status, and Touka observes how even his stats are below average, as it reveals his rank to be E. After all the students are ranked, Oyamada tells the teacher he is no longer in control as he is only a D rank, while most of the students are B and above. With that, the goddess initiates a critical ritual and tells Touka to step forward and informs him that he is the lowest rank amongst the entire group and therefore will be thrown in a dungeon with deadly monsters to prove his worth. But if he survives and makes it out alive, he will be free to do whatever he wants. Touka is shocked to basically get a death sentence because of his rank and tries to convince the goddess to not dispose of him as he has a skill called Abnormal State Endowment. But the goddess does not care because all abnormal state spells and skills have no value and are not very powerful. As the goddess is calling our MC a failure, the rest of the class also mocks him and look forward to him dying. Even Yasu, the kid he used to help out after being bullied, turns on him and calls him a lowly E rank that should hurry up and die. Their harsh words make Touka very upset and only Ayaka tries to stand up for him. She pleads with the goddess to not dispose of Touka as he is their fellow classmate. But the goddess does not care and responds by landing a heavy blow on Ayaka, knocking her out. This angers Touka, causing him to launch an attack at the goddess. She easily deflects it while revealing she has a permanent protective veil around her that blocks all incoming attacks. Collectively, the students and the goddess continue to mock our MC as tears starts to build in his eyes. As this happens, however, he visits his childhood self and tells him it's time to show them who he truly is. And with that, Touka gives the students and the goddess the middle finger as he vows to come back for them. Our MC then wakes up deep in the dungeon where he immediately comes across human skulls that had been split in half. And as he wonders what could have done such damage, he is able to dodge the monster's attack at the last second. Without even looking back, he runs while the monster gives chase, and with each step it takes, the monster shakes the ground as well as oozing deadly acid from the holes in its body. Touka eventually trips and starts to prepare for his death. In that moment, however, he remembers how everyone made fun of him, how they mocked him, and how he promised to come back to end them. This forces his body to move on its own as he uses his paralyze skill on the monster. This gives him an opportunity to escape. As he runs away, however, he comes across another bird-like monster that quickly corners him. The situation forces Touka to once again use Paralyze on the bird monster, followed by Poison. The problem is, our MC has run out of mana and finds himself pinned between the now arriving Tor and the bird monster. He is once again scared that he may not make it out alive, but his childhood voice urges him on. It reminds him of the anger he felt when he was being beaten by his father, and as he raises his hand against the giant monster, he vows to come back to kill everyone who did him wrong. But before we end the episode, we see a beautiful elf coming out of the water, seemingly waiting to meet a certain someone. Wink, wink. Touka tries to use Paralyze on the attacking Minotaur, but it fails as the world does not allow the use of the same skill on the same target repeatedly, causing our MC to resort to using his sleep skill at the last second. After also poisoning the Minotaur, multiple bird monsters start to surround him, and he starts spamming his Paralyze skill on each of them in an attempt to survive this nightmare. It was not over, however, as numerous Minotaur also pop out to try to take him out. But before Touka is killed, his mana is suddenly replenished due to leveling up, and he starts spamming his Paralyze skill on the Minotaur like there is no tomorrow. Touka realizes his level up is due to the first poisoned bird monster dying, and at the same time, his Paralyze skill has also leveled up due to him using it so much. But it was not only the strength of the skill that increased. Touka has now gained the ability to target multiple enemies at a time with Paralyze, and takes the opportunity to poison them as well, causing his poison skill to also level up. As the monsters start to die from the poison, our MC simply relaxes while receiving experience and leveling up multiple times, and at this point, he has reached level 395. He puts some of the monsters to sleep in order to level up that skill as well, but that does not stop the poison from killing them, and now he has reached level 501. To his surprise, however, the monsters suddenly become scared and start to run away from him, and Touka uses the break to loot a nearby dead body of its clothes. Because leveling up only replenishes his mana and not his tummy, our MC looks for food and has to resort to eating the eye of a Minotaur. After one bite, however, he throws it away as he had also tasted like acid. But before he gives up, he feeds some mana to his pouch, and because the pouch is not one to owe people favors, it creates beef jerky and Coca-Cola for our MC, who promptly devours it. Days and nights have gone by, and we are shown Touka sitting on top of a poisoned dragon-like monster like a king, while looking down on multiple smaller monsters who also have been paralyzed and poisoned. As the monsters succumb to the poison, our MC is leveling up, and at this point, his level has reached 665. He thinks to himself that he feels nothing even though he is killing the monster in an inhumane manner, but he has learned that is how the world works. The strong take advantage of and kill the weak, and he has vowed to become the strongest in order to hunt everyone who think they are strong. As the massive dragon finally dies, our MC's level makes a massive jump to 957 with all his basic stats almost reaching 3000. He kills an eye monster before making his way in a tunnel where he comes across a couple who has died long ago. Touka then checks their bag and finds it full of gems. Because he might have use for the gems in the future, he decides to take them with him, but makes sure to apologize and thank the couple before leaving. He goes through multiple rooms in the tunnel where he finds useful items, but comes across a room that is taking more of his mana than the others. Within the room, he finds the remains of the last dark hero named Anglin Bathard. Similar to how Yasu is the new dark hero and the strongest amongst the group, Bathard was also the strongest in his group, but was forced in the dungeon by the goddess Vicious after she used him to kill the demon emperor. He was also filled with hatred, but was unable to escape the dungeon, and so he entrusted the person who finds him to use the items in his bag to finish what he could not. Touka finds a book and a scroll within the bag that can teach him forbidden dark magic, but as he scrolls through the book, he comes across a note surrounded by blood warning him of something called the Soul Eater. The note claims that the Soul Eater is so dangerous that it was the cause of the death of everyone else in Bathard's party, and this causes Touka to explore the dungeon more carefully, as there is something that can actually kill him down there. But our MC has bad luck and comes across the Soul Eater while making his way out of the dungeon. He tries to use Paralyze on it, but the Soul Eater shoots a hole through his hand before he can even finish casting the spell. As Touka thinks of a way to defeat the Soul Eater, who has now detached itself from the wall, we are taken outside, where we come across a hooded blonde woman with massive melons who is seemingly being chased by some unknown assailants. Back in the dungeon, monsters are arising from the Soul Eater's vomit, but it was only a distraction as the massive scary head pops through the wall and uses its screaming ability. The ability is not effective on Touka, and that is when he realizes that the Soul Eater is toying with him as it opens its massive, scary-looking golden eyes and starts to laugh at him. Tears start to stream from our MC's eyes as he does not want to hurt the Soul Eater's minions because they look too human. He screams for somebody, anybody, to help him. The Soul Eater is enjoying the show, laughing at our MC's despair, but little does it know that it was all a trick by Touka, who suddenly uses Paralyze on the monster. He explains that he needed a way to cast the spell without being interrupted, and because the Soul Eater was too busy laughing at his pain, it gave him the opportunity to raise his hand and cast Paralyze. The skill has leveled up to level 3 after being used on such a strong monster, and as Touka poisons all of the monsters around him, including the Soul Eater, he explains the monster lost to him because it got too cocky. It thought that a lowly human could not outsmart it, but Touka was used to being looked down on by now, and will use that, as well as every trick he knows to his advantage in order to see his revenge through. As his poison skill also reaches level 3, he puts all of the monsters to sleep, increasing that skill's level to 3 as well. And when the Soul Eater finally dies, all of the souls it has eaten are released, and each of them thank Touka, as well as giving him their blessings because they have watched everything he has been through since being thrown in the dungeon. Even Anglin Bathard's soul appears to tell Touka to give the evil goddess hell, but our MC had already planned on doing that as he finally makes his way out of the dungeon. I appreciate you for watching. Please leave a like if you're enjoying the story so far, and I will see you next time for part 3.